Hello, this is Depesh Mandalia, and I'm going to show you in this video how I use a specific tool to report on my Facebook data to give me the insights I need and take the stress out of actually knowing what's going on with my accounts. And what's super brilliant is I'm able to look across the whole account, and I can do this for multiple accounts. So actually, this method is something which I developed because I went from kind of managing one Facebook ad account to many, and I needed a way of being able to look at all of them at the same time. So I run a Facebook ads agency, and therefore it's useful. I also run my own ad accounts, and for that I can kind of see across everything that's going on. So this video is to show you how I plug in a tool called Supermetrics. Now, Supermetrics is a massive time saver slash money saver slash life saver. So if you think about Facebook ads, you go into the platform, you look at your data, you look at your numbers, you can kind of create your custom reports in Facebook, but it only takes you so far. There's so much data, so much hidden data there that you just can't see when you're looking at Ads Manager. So what I like to do is to pull the data out into spreadsheets, and you can see an example of one of the accounts here. And I can, like for example, let's just take this here right now. So I'm looking at 14 days worth of data, and I can do quite a few things here. So first of all, I use conditional formatting. So this is a Google Sheet document, and the first thing that I can see is green is good, red is bad. And that's a super simple thing to do. And I can go beyond that. So I can see here, for example, on Thursday, something changed in the return on ad spend. Now, obviously, these are crazy numbers, but I can look across and see what's going on. So, I don't know what your level of knowledge with Facebook ads is, but if you scan across this column here, CPC is cost per click, 50 pence, 48 pence, 58 pence. There's no massive difference here in my cost. So this is the cost on the Facebook side. However, my conversion rate dropped, and therefore my cost per acquisition went up, and therefore my return on ad spend dropped. So just by looking at this data here, I can trend it super fast. If that's not cool enough, I don't update these numbers at all. So if you go back, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, I would download the data from Facebook ads, put it into a spreadsheet, and create all these columns and data, and put all these kind of metrics together. And I would be downloading the data once, twice, 3, 4 times a day from Facebook. But now, using Supermetrics, and I'm going to show you how to do this, I can pull the data not just into the spreadsheet automatically. I can do it daily. I can also do it hourly. Like just like put your head around this, right? So I'm spending 27k over the 14-day period. So there's significant spend going on, and this account kind of fluctuates in terms of spend. But I can know by the hour. I can just log in at any time of the day. And here's the thing: I can log in on my desktop. I can also do it on my mobile device. So this is just a Google Sheet. This is a website URL. You can view this anywhere you can view a URL. So on your mobile, on your desktop, on your tablet, etc. And I have the stats right there. But not just the stats. I have, and this, I've kind of, the tabs at the bottom, I've created different kind of ways to look at the data. So this spreadsheet here is my kind of daily go-to. So I just want to know in the day, how much do I spend, how am I performing, etc. But I can go levels below this as well. So for example, I've got a 7-day trend tab here. This one, for example, and for anyone that follows my kind of way of building ad accounts, I've got my data split by account level performance, by the different kind of funnels. So for me, cold is prospecting, warm is engaged, and hot is site retargeting. And I can look at my overall spend, and then I can look at the spend by the different parts of the funnel as well. So for example, prospecting on this week here, we spent 40k on our retargeting. We spent 20k or whatever, and I can look at all of my metrics all the way through my funnel, and then I can also go down to the campaign level. So and just bear in mind, I'm not updating any of this data. It's all automatically created for me on the hour, every hour, 24/7. So anytime I check in, even on the weekends, I just quickly look at the data and I know kind of what's going on. So here, for example, I've got all my campaigns broken down. Made the column slightly thinner so as not to share too much information with you. So I've just loaded up active campaigns, and I can see my spend and kind of what's going on. I can see that the ad set level, the creative level, also some segments. So for example, I can look at female age range, male age range, desktop, device, etc. And then also look at a kind of monthly overview. Now, what I want you to just take through and take away from this is how powerful this is. I literally have, for every single account, all the data I need at my fingertips. And you may have different ways of cutting and slicing your data. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to show you in the next part of this video how to actually use Supermetrics to plug all this data in. So this is the kind of way that I'm able to manage significant spends and many ad accounts with Facebook ads without getting stressed out. It makes it so much easier as well. And this, it doesn't need to even be for an ad account that's spending a lot. If you're starting out, you're spending 50 a day, 100 a day, even 10 a day, just knowing what's going on in your ad account will make a huge difference. So the next part of the video is how do you actually hook all this up? So I've got an email account here which is not connected into Supermetrics. I'm going to show you how to actually hook that up into your Google Sheet. So the first thing is you want to do a search for Supermetrics and land on the site. So the first thing you need to do is set up a trial, and you need to connect your data into your Google Sheet. So there's different pricing levels, and you know, if you look at this and you think kind of, you know, it's too expensive, it's just not right for me, you're probably not ready to use this level of data. So if I just quickly check in, and you know, these prices might change by the time you see it. If you're just setting up, go for the free version and just use it as much as you can. The only downside is you don't get that much data through. So 100 rows per query is not a lot. I personally started off with the $69 a month, and that gave me enough data to work with. But right now I use the Super Pro, and the only real reason for me right now is that I get the hourly updates. So that's just a side, that's totally up to you. But right now you can go for the free trial and just use it and get used to it. And then you can upgrade when you're ready. And you know, I would say if you're looking for any kind of scheduling and stuff, then you absolutely want to upgrade. So the other thing about this is I primarily use it for Google Sheets. There's a tool called Google Data Studio. It's something I used to use a bit more heavily before, and it allows you to do some fancy graphs and insights and segmentation on your data. It's great, but my preference is that I kind of make it work in Excel, and I can kind of get what I need out of it as well. So the first thing you need to do is to start your free trial. So I'm going to walk you through it just so that you actually see how it's actually done. So I'm going to start my 14-day trial. I'm going to click on that. So it's taking me to the Google Store because it's connecting it to Google Sheets, and I'll show you what that looks like shortly as well. So here it's connected. After I've clicked on free, it's connected me up into Google Sheets. Supermetrics needs your permission to run. Absolutely fine. I'm going to use this account. I'm going to give it permission, and that will hook up Supermetrics into any of my Google Sheets now. So when I log in with this particular user, then I'll be able to access Supermetrics. So you click on add-ons, Supermetrics, and launch. Now I'm kind of looking at this from a Facebook ads point of view, but it's worth saying that Supermetrics actually can connect a whole host of your data in. You can do some really cool stuff. So a lot of you will be doing Google ads, for example. You'll be doing LinkedIn ads. If you look down here, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can analyze. But right now I'm going to go and connect up my Facebook ads data. So let's continue in, and I'll pause this whilst I log in, and then by the time we come back, it'll all be connected. Great, so we are now connected into Facebook. So I've typed in my email address, put my password in, and then Supermetrics has connected my data from my Facebook account. So you can see here, choose how to split your results. So just to confirm, it's connected my data source. Now I can select my account. So let's select this one here. Now that that's been selected, I can select what date period I want. So let's just use the last, let's look at last 7 days actually. So we'll type in last 7 days here. and I'm going to select some metrics. So there's a few already selected. So amount spent, return on ad spend, website purchases is cool. I'm also going to pull out some other metrics which I often use just to kind of see how performance is going. So I'm going to go for initiate checkout, add to cart, and view content, and let's have a look at landing page views and outbound clicks. So don't worry about the kind of metrics right now, it's more I just want to show you the actions that are going through. So the other one I want is my purchase value as well, and let's move that one up here. So at the top I can see how much I spent, the ROAS, purchases, etc, etc. This is just an e-com store, so to give you an idea. And then you'll see the cool data I can create from this. So there are my metrics. Then I can choose to split the data if I want. So I'm going to split it by date. So let's get date. So that'll be on the x-axis, and I'm not going to split any columns there. So the other thing is you need to select the cursor of where you want to drop it. So I want to drop the data there, and let's drop the data in. So now that that query is running, it's going to pull the data I've selected. So I've selected 7 days. I want my data split by day, and I've given the essentially the data I want. So I've got my amount spent. This is a dollar account, so we're going to change the format to a currency of, is it there by default? Nope. So let's put dollars. Is it right at the bottom? US dollar. There you go. This is, oops, that's not a percent. Let's get rid of that. That's in absolutes, website purchases, purchase value. We're going to put that into dollars as well. Actually, a quicker way is to just copy that there. And then what I've got is my absolute values here. So I'm going to show you how I would use this to give me some insight. So at the moment it doesn't really look that useful just looking at this, but if I just quickly show you how I can actually break that down. So there's a few things missing here. I don't have my cost per purchase. I could have pulled that in, and I don't have AOV. They're two really important metrics here, so I didn't pull those in. Just so I want to show you kind of how you can add additional insights into your data. So if I create 2 columns here just to show you what's possible. So I want my cost per acquisition, cost per purchase, and I want my AOV. So actually my cost per purchase is that, and I can copy that through. Average order value is my revenue divided by purchases, and there we have it. So now all of a sudden I've got better insights as to what's going on. I'm going to clean up the return on ad spend, because return on ad spend is your AOV divided by your CPA. And let's turn that into a percentage. And there we have it. So now I can, let's get rid of this, don't want that. So now I can get a kind of firm idea of how my account is performing. Now in the other example you saw some conditional formatting, and it's a really, really cool way of knowing how your performance is going. So let's turn it around there. So red is bad, green is good. And if I do done, and you can see here, now all of a sudden at a glance I can see what's going on. And when you apply that formatting to each of your columns, in this case green is good, red is bad, and this one is conditional formatting, and AOV, green is good, red is bad. So now when I'm looking at my data, I'm trending, right? So I want to see at a glance if something's not on par, why is that? So here, for example, the 14th, I can see 364%. What's changed? Actually, there's 2 things that have changed, and you can see it relative to the column. So for example, the $12 is not good, but it's not as bad as it has been. Whereas if we look at the AOV, that's dropped. And so you need to understand, like, this is just an e-com example. but each metric impacts something else. And what you can do with Supermetrics is start to break this down in different ways. Now, let's take, for example, and I'll show you something really cool with this. So if you click on the cell that has the query, you can click modify and then click on a different cell, or you could click on a different sheet. You can run the same query again, but using a different segment, for example. So let's for example change, let's add date and I don't know, let's say placement, maybe. I'm just trying to think. Okay, let's do placement. Let's see what that brings back, and then let's apply the data, because this is part of when you're in the early stages of understanding Facebook ads and your account. You want to experiment with this and kind of get a sense for. I did actually pause this up. Let me just change that back. Let's get the data back. There we go. So right, if you click on the data, you get your script here, and what you want to do is click on modify, exit that, click somewhere else, and then you change your data. So let's do that again, because I don't want to change what's already there. So you can see here at the top it doesn't say anything about the cell data, so I'm just going to click get data. I don't want to lose that, so I'm just going to paste this new data below just to show you kind of how it looks. So now I brought some new data. I've got it by date, so you can see the 10th of March here, and then it's broken down by placement, so they've got the same data, but for example I can see what's going on at a deeper level. Now this is kind of unformatted data, so it's a bit messy, but you saw how quickly it is to sort out your formatting. So that's one example of just quickly changing the data. I can change that again now, and sheet A18, yep, that's right. So let's change that to device, because I don't think placement in particular gave us what we needed. We'll wait for that data to load. It's fairly quick as well, which is pretty cool. It does depend on how much data you're pulling. So if I'm pulling 365 days of the year, then obviously it'll take longer. So again, I'm looking at this data and kind of just looking to see if there's any trends. I would format it in this way. And one thing to say is, if you do edit your data and it's in place, so let me just show you here. So if I insert, let's just say insert a column to the right, and I call this CPA, and I say cost per acquisition, and I break that down. So you know, I could look at this and say, okay, this is useful data. I can look at by day and by device and see if there's anything that's changed. So for example, on the 14th, in fact, where my results started to change, was there anything that in particular pulled out? You could say that actually mobile CPA drifted more than desktop. So let's say here, for example, we now want to refresh the data. So if I click on that again, wait for this block on the right to refresh. Now, if I refresh the data here in this position, unfortunately, I will lose this column. So you just need to make sure whatever you pull from Supermetrics is going to just be in that fixed position, because otherwise you will lose the data as well. So when I'm kind of creating my data, if I'm doing anything to that data, like up here, I would do it outside of wherever I've loaded it. So for example, this query says in sheet 1, which is here, A18, L32, you can do all this kind of stuff. If I refresh it, it's gonna lose my CPA column, just to quickly show you how fickle it can be. So you need to keep an eye out for this as well. So there we go, CPA is gone. So that's just an FYI. Now here, for example, I've pulled out some metrics, and I'm going to show you just like, this is something which Facebook don't give you. For example, if I want to know funnel conversion rates, then all I would do is, let's say, copy my dates down here. And so I've got the number of website checkout initiated, add to cart, etc., etc. Now, if I say 530 were checked out, what percentage actually went on to buy? I do my purchases divided by my initiate checkout, and now I can see 48% of people that went into the checkout converted. So if I look here, that's actually fairly stable. Then if I do that for add to cart, so actually here there's two things you can ask. How many people that added to cart went on to buy, which is purchases divided by add to cart, and you can kind of look at that as a metric. So I can see 5% of people that added to cart actually went on to buy. But what I like to do is look at step-by-step conversion. So I want to know how many added to cart actually went to initiate checkout. So I'm going to do that calculation here just to show you really quickly some kind of powerful, but in my view, simple analysis as well. And you can see here, there's actually been a slight drop off, and I'm going to do the same here. So how many people that viewed content actually went on to add to cart. So it's one over the other. And I'm breaking that metric here. So you can see there's some trends coming out here. And what I tend to do is then look at the analysis of the data over here to kind of figure out what's going on. So is conversion rate my biggest problem? Actually, you look at these numbers, and those getting into checkout have generally converted at the same rate on each of those days. Those getting to add to cart, give or take, have kind of the same rates gone in, and here the same rates gone in as well. Now, if you look at these numbers, it kind of suggests that AOV was my biggest issue, my biggest challenge here. So for example, one thing you can do to kind of just test these numbers out, so I could create a scenario. So on the 13th, my AOV was 51, it's dropped to 46, and therefore my ROAS, return on ad spend, has been impacted. What if it remained at $51? Actually, my ROAS is better. So you know there, for example, ROAS has an impact on, AOV has had an impact on my ROAS. CPA has probably been impacted by cost per click and by conversion rate. And here you can calculate cost per click. So how much does it cost is how much I paid divided by how many clicks I've generated. You can pull this in your data, but I'm just going to pull this here. And actually you can see here quite clearly my costs have risen. So there's two factors here which have resulted in my return on ad spend being impacted. It's the cost per click has gone up and my AOV has dropped. So somewhere along the line, Facebook has, the results are not as strong as they have been. So my costs are going up. Probably a creative refresh is needed more than likely, or it could be something to do with the audience. And then secondly, my AOV's dropped. It could be a promotional time. Maybe we're promoting heavily. I can't remember for this particular account, but that's just a quick example of how simple it is to do your data analysis with Supermetrics. So I do encourage you to look beyond Facebook ads when you're doing your reporting. Like the Facebook ads platform is super good. You can save reports, you can create custom columns, and you can email things to yourself, etc., etc. But if you really want to get to a place of power where you can really understand your data at the deeper level, yes, it will take a bit of time to actually construct this sheet. And if you're on my training program, you get this sheet and you can just literally plug your data in. If for some of you just want to do it yourself, that's absolutely fine. But once you've got the data, that's where the power is. That's where the power for decision making sits. And that's where my stress levels drop down, honestly. I know across all my accounts what's going on. I know how to slice and dice. I can kind of see all the performance. It makes it so much easier. So I'd really encourage you to give Supermetrics a go. I'm a huge advocate of it because it has such an impact on my agency and also on my own ad accounts. I just literally get as many people to use it as possible because it will reduce your stress and your burden infinitely as well. So I'd really encourage you to give Supermetrics a go. The other cool thing is that they also have templates. So if I do a search for Supermetrics templates, and we've got a gallery here. So what they actually do is provide you with some templates if you just want to have the visualization done, because a lot of people, you might not be that technical. I'm fairly technical, so I'll take the data and I'll present it in different ways that make sense. But there are lots of templates here that you can just take. You can actually blend in lots of different ad channels, so AdWords, Facebook, etc., etc. You can slice and dice your data any way you want, and the same applies for Google Data Studio as well. So if you're if you don't want the kind of headache that comes with Google Sheets in terms of representing your data, and especially if you want to share something with a third party, whether it's a client or someone in your team, and you don't want to give them too much access to the data, go for Google Data Studio. It's such a cool way of presenting your data. You can share this with a client, and they can literally look at all of your data and slice and dice it as well. So that's another cool thing. The final thing I would say is, if you are interested, there is a promotional offer. If you sign up through my affiliate link, and you don't have to, but I encourage you to, you'll get 20% off your purchase. So it's fairly simple. Let me just quickly show you. So once you've gone through your trial, I think you get 14-day trial. In the promo code, type in SM Commerce and hit submit, and then you'll get your 20% discount on whichever package you use. So whether it's the pay monthly, the pay every 3 months, or pay yearly, you'll get 20% off that. So I'd really encourage you to give this a go. Give the 14-day trial a go. Go for the higher levels, so you get to see some of the kind of automations and things like that. If you're on my training program, then you get these templates that I use as well, and you can just literally plug your data in. But in any case, I really do think that if you want to reduce your stress and burden of running Facebook ads accounts, and in fact Google AdWords and even organic Facebook, all that data can come through as well. And you can kind of look at the integrations here to see all the other things that you can look at: Instagram Insights, Facebook Insights. You can pull out your YouTube data, AdSense, Ads Manager. You can even pull out Stripe as well. So for a lot of you that kind of use Stripe for your billing, you can pull that into the spreadsheet and make sense of what's going on. There's a ton of stuff to do there. So appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. I really do want you to take advantage of simplifying your data as much as possible and reducing your burden of actually knowing what's going on with your ad accounts. Give it a go and let me know in the comments how you get on.